Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Full On Football podcast with myself, Harry, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ben. We prepared a special edition of the show tonight. Ben, cue the special edition jingle.
Whee!
Here you've got you. I was waiting for it. I'm still waiting for it. After Man City were officially crowned Premier League champions for the third time in 4 years, we've sat down and attempted to draft out our ultimate Pep Guardiola starting 11. And to be honest, mate, when I sat down to do it, it turned out to be one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. It was so tough.
Absolutely, yeah, it was ridiculously hard, mate. And just to be clear to the listeners, the criteria on the selection of the side is based on the players' abilities and players' powers under Pep Guardiola. So, spoiler alert for you Arsenal fans, Thierry Henry is not going to be in this side, despite the fact he probably was the best player to not win the Ballon d'Or. Probably was the best player in the world for a few years. He is not going to be in this 11 because he only had one season under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got to be strict. We've got to be strict. We've got to be fair. And that's,
it's unbelievably difficult as it is without throwing another spanner into the works. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on. We're going to go, the first selection criteria up for debate is the formation. Harry, I'm saying that Pep Guardiola, most of his career, has played 4-3-3. I'm proposing we play a 4-3-3. Are you happy with that?
Totally agree, yeah.
Top man. Right. Section 1 is going to be goalkeepers and defenders. Right. So 4-3-3, we've agreed on that. The first agreement of the night. I'm so excited to get going, mate. So, first item of the agenda, the goalkeeper. Only really 3 choices for this. Manuel Neuer, Ederson, Victor Valdez. Who are you going with and why?
Right, so for me, this is the second easiest decision, to be honest, of the 11 that I've had to pick. Manuel Neuer, best goalkeeper I've seen in my lifetime for a consistent period. For me, he changed the art of goalkeeping with his sweeping. Obviously, that's took off a lot since then, even prior to Pep. Neuer was the guy who I seen. I'm not saying he's the only goalkeeper to do it, but to consistently take the level of sweeping to a new level, Manuel Neuer. Ederson turned out to be, a very good goalkeeper. Wouldn't say he's a very elite. And Victor Valdez, how good is Victor Valdez? I'm not sure. I watched him play probably 100 games of football, and I have no idea how good he is. I don't know about you. They just never conceded a chance. They never did anything. He didn't always play for Spain because Casillas was always the number one. So for me, Victor Valdez, I still don't know how good he is. So for me, Neuer is the obvious one.
I think you've made the absolute right call. For me, Manuel Neuer, you mentioned the best goalkeeper in your lifetime. Same for me. Best goalkeeper of all time based on peak. I think he's had the best peak of any goalkeeper in history. In terms of longevity, you mentioned it's probably been sort of 8 or 10 years at the top, whereas you're looking at a Buffon and a Casillas, maybe 16 years or so at the top. So longevity, there's an argument for Buffon or Casillas, but in terms of peak goalkeepers, I think Manuel Neuer is probably the greatest goalkeeper of all time. And as you said, an innovator in the sport, really, with the way that how good he was on the ball and how he came out from the back and just the sheer presence and leadership of the man. Manuel Neuer is the first person in our team. Okay, so on to the next spot in the team. We're going to talk fullbacks. Reason I would say right back, but fullbacks. The reason I'm starting with not committing to a side, I just want to put it out there. The number one fullback that I've ever seen is just as good on either side, and that's Philipp Lahm. Philipp Lahm, for me, is just as good on either side. He was so good at football. Pep Guardiola played him in midfield. Holding midfield, he's that good. Right back, left back, I don't mind what side he's on. I'm putting that out there. How I've picked mine is I have picked the second best fullback and I've put them on their strongest side and put Lahm on the other because that's how good Philipp Lahm is. So I've gone with Dani Alves at right back, Philipp Lahm at left back.
If I was to push you for it and you could only have one, who would you have as the right back?
Lahm.
You would have Lahm?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I mean, we're talking right backs Pep's had. You're talking Lamb's just as good on either side. Cancelo now at Man City, just as good on either side. Dani Alves, right back, obviously. Kyle Walker, a young Joshua Kimmich, probably obviously playing midfield now, but right back at the time under Guardiola. They're sort of my considerations. Lam's the number one choice. I just feel like, forget right back, left back. Dani Alves is number 2 in terms of fullbacks for me. A serial winner. I think he's the most decorated footballer in history in terms of the trophies he's won. I find it really tough to leave him out. And the link-up play with Lionel Messi on the right-hand side is mesmerising. The best attacking fullback I've ever seen. So Dani Alves would be in mine. And like I said, Lam's as good on either side. So I'm happy to have Lam at left back.
Sure, man. I can't really argue with what you're saying. Dani Alves, as you said, most decorated player. Free consistency, so good, such a modern fullback. A born winner. Can't really argue with that. For me, it was a flip of a coin between Dani Alves and Philipp Lahm. But I've just come down on the side of Philipp Lahm as I fancy him more. And to top it off, Philipp Lahm will be my captain. He'll be the captain of my team at right back. So I've gone for Philipp Lahm. On the other side, this comes down as a pair, really. David Alaba, Philipp Lahm, the best pair of fullbacks I've seen in my lifetime in terms of consistency. What I saw from them, Philipp Lahm and Alaba as a pair. So I'd have Philipp Lahm on the right as captain, David Alaba on the left.
Oh, what a shout! So there you have it then. So in terms of fullbacks, we're agreed Philipp Lahm is in the side. He's in the side. Now it's coming down to what side's he playing on, and then which fullback are we going to go with. So it's between Alaba and Alves. And you're talking about left backs. Again, Guardiola spoilt for choice. Play Lam there, play Alaba there, play Jordi Alba there. Forgetting Eric Abidal. Eric Abidal was hell of a left back, mind. But it's between basically
he was struggled as well with fitness and illness, didn't he, over that period, despite playing a hell of a lot of football.
100%. Yeah, that's right. He did, and he played a lot of football during that time. So I suppose the debate is Dani Alves or Alaba, and why? And you've made a great case for obviously Lam. Lam is naturally a right back, just as good at left back. So I do understand his preferred side would be right back. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about the chemistry and the pair of fullbacks. Based on that, I'm happy to go with your suggestion of Philipp Lahm on the right and Alaba on the left. So that takes us on to centre-backs. Centre-backs, again, he's just spoiled for choice, this boy. Who's going through your head when you're thinking about centre-backs in this side?
So in terms of, we've gone through it before the show, and there are this ridiculous amount of defenders that won't even get a mention. Obviously, Pep's Barcelona, best team of all time. You have Puyol and Piqué at the back. Actually, largely Mascherano played a lot. Puyol was often injured in that time, which people don't always realise the amount of football that Mascherano played at centre half, who doesn't really get a look in this team. Mats Hummels, I think, played maybe one season under Pep, might be wrong. Jerome Boateng, Dante, one of my favourite defenders of all time, Dante, signed from a Division 2 team at the age of 28, won the treble in his first season, which is unheard of, who Pep then quickly got out the door about 18 months later. I think he went to Wolfsburg. But for me, first choice centre half, pound for pound, the best defender that Pep has managed, in my opinion, Vincent Kompany, born leader, born winner, enormous presence in the box, in the air, art of defending, had it down to a T. Fitness was an issue. I admit he didn't always play. He probably didn't play an awful amount of football under Pep, so that you've got to take that into account. But just because of how good he was, and like I said, I think he was pound for pound the best defender. I've got Vincent Kompany as my first choice.
Okay, I've got a bone to pick with you here. So Lamb's captain and Vincent Kompany's in the side.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get my head around that. Kompany's got to be captain, hasn't he?
Reason Vincent Kompany isn't captain is because I can't guarantee he's always going to be on the pitch. Whereas Philipp Lahm, don't remember him ever getting injured. Don't remember him missing a minute. He probably wasn't ever late for training. I have to have him on the base, so I know he's going to be there. Whereas Kompany, as good as he is, fitness was an issue. He was made of cheese at times.
Okay, Kompany for you. Who's the other centre-back? Obviously, you didn't even mention Ruben Diaz, but only based on one season. I do appreciate you're probably not going to get him in based on one season, or are you? Let me know. Who are you going to get in? Who's your other centre-back?
Do you know what makes a great shout? On one season's performance, he's probably had as good a single season as any of them under Pep, really, for being honest, because he's been that good. But no, I'm not going for Ruben Diaz. On the other side, Jerome Boateng as his partner at the back. I've gone for a very Bayern Munich defensive unit. At the time Pep managed Boateng, he would have been in my World 11 alongside Sergio Ramos in a back four if I was picking it at that time. That's basically the basis I've picked up, and I maintained that for a long time. You know, great defender for a long period of time. I know, he's had players have their moments. You know, when Messi made him look silly, but then again, Messi makes everyone look silly, so I can't judge him on that. For me, Boateng at the time Pep managed him was one of the best defenders in the world, if not the, and that's why I've had to pick him, because the others, he likes of Puyol, he likes of Piqué. I don't think they were ever the best defender in the world. As harsh as that sounds, as silly as that sounds, you might laugh at me. I don't think they were, so I've had to go Boateng.
Okay, great reasoning. For me, we've mentioned all the names. You've picked the best two, I think. Certainly the best individual defender in terms of ability. I think the best individual defender he's managed in terms of ability at his peak is Vincent Kompany. I think you've picked him. And I think second, in terms of attributes, probably is Jerome Boateng. I think in terms of ability and attributes, they are probably the best two. But I've gone with a chemistry shout. With a chemistry shout, and I actually don't agree with either of your selections. I've gone Puyol and Piqué. I've gone Puyol and Piqué because I've picked the partnership. Much like your reasoning for the fullbacks at Bayern Munich, the Bayern Munich lads, Alaba and Lam, Puyol and Piqué, this is a period during Barcelona where they won 2 Champions Leagues. Puyol's the captain of my side, I'm going to add in there. Absolute natural leader, fantastic defender. Piqué has been for 10, 12 years a great defender, all consistently in sort of the top 5 in the world, and fantastic on the ball. And people forget that, and an absolute man mountain in the air. And I just feel like, in my opinion, that Barcelona side, whilst Pep was managing them, is the greatest side of all time, to be honest, in terms of club football. And they're right at the spine of it. So in terms of, you've picked the best 2 individuals and I've picked the partnership, and that's why I've gone with the 2 I've gone with. But we've got to come to a joint decision.
Right. It's a compromise.
I'm putting it out there. Mine are in as a partnership or they're not in. It's no good in putting one in without the other, because if you're going to you might as well just go with the 2 best individuals if you're going to do that. You see the logic, right? Because I'm picking a partnership, and if you're going to put in Kompany and Piqué or Kompany and Puyol, the partnership's gone anyway. You might as well just go with 2 individuals, which is what you've done.
See, with Boateng, I do really like him. But I do concede your point about the other 2, and Piqué, I've probably overlooked him just because I fancy Boateng more, perhaps. For me, I want Kompany in there on the basis of what I just said, but I'm happy to compromise one of the positions. I'm happy to compromise one. You're not having it?
I think I'll bank the compromise, mate, because I think the midfield's where the real debate comes in. So, do you know what? On the basis of the fact that I can appreciate where you're coming from, I do think, in terms of, you give me a blank sheet of paper and I'm allowed to sign 1 centre-back at their peak, the first one of all of his defenders I'd sign would be Vincent Kompany. And it possibly may even be a Boateng as the second one I'd sign. But I've signed a partnership, and on that basis of understanding your logic, I'll give you those 2, but I'm very much recording that I've given you 3 now, and that's very unlike me. So expect me to bank that and come back at you when we do the midfield in the next part. So we've just had a break, and I've just realised I've just been made a mug of. Not only have I made 3 compromises, I've even compromised what side Philip Lam's playing on. And I've been told he's captain, even though if Kompany's going to be in the side, Kompany has to be captain. We'll come back to that later. But so far, it's an outstanding looking side. 4 Bayern Munich players, though. Closet Bayern Munich fan, I think you are. Neuer in goal, Philip Lam right back, Kompany right centre-back. I'm very particular about what sides they play on. Boateng left centre-back, just protecting Alaba on that left-hand side. It's just a fantastic start as far as I'm concerned. So now it's on to the real debate. midfield. Who's going through your head? What are you thinking? What's your selection criteria? Are you going to go with like individuals, or are you going with a chemistry? What's the crap?
I'm not going to give anything away, but I've had to go individuals because I think on chemistry there's really no debate. I said before, best team of all time, Barcelona. But I've not gone with that. I've gone from individuals on individual performances in that season, in those seasons under Pep. So I haven't gone chemistry. I've gone very individual in this, which I believe will be very different to what you've got.
Please tell me you've balanced the midfield, though. You haven't just
I
gone
have.
full on attacking midfielders, have you?
No, I haven't, mate. And I'll tell you how I've balanced it. I've balanced it with none other than Man City's most important player of the last 5 years, Fernandinho. Basis of
Fernandinho.
that, Man City are probably the second or the third best team I've seen in my lifetime. Similar to Busquets in the way he reads the game, always an option, breaks it up, is technically superb. But I also feel that he's more to his game than probably your selection, Sergio Busquets. Man City's most important player over Pep's period of time. I've no doubt about it. Kevin, not necessarily the best player, but the most important. When he doesn't play or when he didn't play, they're a different team. De Bruyne not in the team, doesn't matter. They still win. Company not in the team, doesn't matter. They still win. When Fernandinho doesn't play, they are something, a slightly different team. And for that reason, watching him play is just a joy. And I'd have Fernandinho as the linchpin of that midfield.
And you know what? That's a great point, and I take in all of it. And I really rate Fernandinho as a footballer. I think he's everything. When I'm looking at a side, and I see a lot of people out there, they're picking teams, and you look at England at the moment, and they're saying Mount, Grealish, Foden in midfield, and you're thinking, well, no balance there whatsoever. You get torn to shreds by any side that can keep the ball. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Fernandinho, that mould of player, a Casemiro, a Fernandinho, even back in the day, like a Gilberto Silva type, all Brazilians, by the way. But that just balances and allows the other two to flourish and really play, doesn't it? And what I would say is, if I was assigning one holding midfielder and I was given the option of Busquets or Fernandinho, again, blank sheet of paper, I would prefer to go with Fernandinho if they're both at their peaks. But, well, listen, I'll come to my midfield in a sec. But just looking at, mate, just in terms of like names that Pep Guardiola's managed, Yaya Toure at 2 clubs, Thiago at 2 clubs, Xabi Alonso. Does Xabi Alonso not get a look in for you?
He does, mate. I haven't gone with him. Yeah, so unlucky, but no, not quite for me. What a player, though.
I know. And David Silva, De Bruyne, like you said, Fabregas, Iniesta, Cruz, Schweinsteiger. Schweinsteiger could do that job. See, for me, mate, I'd probably rather Schweinsteiger than Fernandinho. I thought he had. Yeah, I do think so. I think he'd balance. For me, the linchpin is between Busquets, Schweinsteiger, and Fernandinho. The 3 that I've gone with in midfield, you'll not be surprised one bit. I've gone with a chemistry again. I've gone a perfectly balanced midfield, tried and tested. I have not picked the best 3 individuals. I think the best individual midfielder he's managed. The names that are coming to me, there's 3 names screaming out at me. Xavi, Iniesta, and De Bruyne. They're the 3 best in terms of individuals I think he's managed. And you know what? I'm going to be very controversial. I think Xavi and Iniesta get in like an all-time 11 in midfield. They're that good. They control the game. They come as a pair. In terms of individual ability, effectiveness, all-round game, I think De Bruyne might even have more than both of them. I really do think that. I think he's got absolutely everything, that boy. The unluckiest man in the world not to be in my side, because I've gone with the Barcelona 3 midfield. I've gone with Busquets, Xavi and Iniesta on the basis of chemistry, on the basis of the balance is perfect, and they will dominate any game of football that they play.
Yeah, it's hard to argue, mate. They, like you said, you can't get the ball off them. Best team ever. So unique as well. Xavi and Iniesta's are 2 of the most unique players as well. I think that's what makes them so good. There aren't that art of being able to dictate a game of where to be all the time. Xavi was, you're talking in terms of like intelligence. The intelligence of Xavi, where he should be at all times, is sort of unparalleled to sort of anything I've ever seen. It's clearly calculated. Every step he takes is for a reason, which I find incredible because you don't see the like that. I've actually gone with Xavi in my team because I couldn't not, and I don't have any right to leave Iniesta in my team. How can I? It's ridiculous. I don't have a right to leave him out. You can't. I just wanted Kevin De Bruyne in there. Basically, what you've said, so effective, so effective. He's off the charts. Probably the best passer of football I've seen. However, I can't make a compromise with that because those two were on another planet. So I'm happy to have either of them.
Again, this comes back to if I can only sign one of them, any of those midfielders, I think the one would be De Bruyne. But if I can sign two, it's Xavi and Iniesta, and De Bruyne wouldn't get in. Do you know what I mean? Because they come as a pair and they're so good together. So we're in agreement. Xavi and Iniesta are in. So that's, your De Bruynes, your David Silvas, your Fabregases, that's all of them gone. Now it's about the linchpin. And it comes down to really, I think, well, look, who does it come down to? It comes down to Busquets, Schweinsteiger, Fernandinho, Thiago, Alonso. Talk to me. What are we whittling that down to? Let's reduce that from 5 to 3. Which two are we knocking off?
I think Toni Kroos.
Didn't even mention Toni Kroos.
Toni Kroos on his career should be in there, but he only played one season under Pep.
Yeah.
I think that sort of, rules him out. Thiago, unlucky. I really like him. Pep signed him at 2 clubs. Had him at 2 clubs. Clearly very liked him. Not for me. Not quite at the same level. I'm probably Passion Schweinsteiger, great fan of it. For me, it would probably come down to a toss-up between Busquets, Fernandinho, and Xabi Alonso would be the 3.
Really? Okay, well, I'm going to say my 3 would have been Busquets, Fernandinho, and Schweinsteiger. I'd go Schweinsteiger over Alonso. I think I'd leave Alonso out. So in doing that, we've whittled it down to 2, not 3, because we've both left out Schweinsteiger and Alonso. It's between Busquets and Fernandinho. So this comes down to a question of character, Harry. Are you Sven-Goran Eriksson? Do you just cram all of the best individuals into your side, or do you listen to me and account for balance and account for chemistry and actually say these 3 lads have dominated every game of football they've ever played in their primes under Guardiola, won 2 Champions Leagues, won the World Cup, won the Euros? What do you do?
We haven't. What I didn't want to do, which is what you've clearly done and completely ruined the entire game that we're playing, is that I'm picking on an individual basis. If you were picking on everything on chemistry, on sort of tried and tested models, you would literally have probably 8 of the 10 would be Barcelona players, despite, contrary to a lot of people's opinion, not having the 11 best individuals of all the time. Just as a team, they were unplayable. On an individual basis, I don't think, in a lot of ways, I think there's as many Bayern Munich players in the 11 on an individual basis as the Barcelona team, despite being not quite as good. So for me, I'll stick with Fernandinho. I think he's better than Busquets. Very harsh for Fernandinho over the Pep's tenure of 5 years, just been a rock. Just an absolute rock.
Fernandinho,
Busquets couldn't play. Yaya Toure used to keep him out of the team.
No, don't be silly. Yaya Toure, and a funny one. He always played like holding midfield, bit of centre back. When at Man City, they let him off the leashes. Much better going forward, Yeah. But no, Busquets, the ball's like glue. He don't give it away, that boy. And he's so good in tight spaces. He's so clever, and he's got that attribute I always talk about. Knowing when to foul, good at breaking up play, goes unnoticed. Having said that, Fernandinho is the master at knowing when to foul, the master of breaking up play, gets round, got a good engine, good on the ball. I have no doubts if Fernandinho had have played in that Barcelona side, he would have complemented it very well as Busquets. I'd say Busquets is better on the ball than Fernandinho in terms of the way that Barcelona side played, the way that he'd pass to which foot he was, he'd pass to your left foot if he wanted you to turn type thing. Do you know what I mean? That's how good he was at passing, how intelligent he was. I think he was a massive part of that Barcelona team.
Should we just compromise and put De Bruyne in there? Just a flat 3.
Bernardo Silva. No, look, okay. I've heard you out. I'm begrudgingly. I still think Fernandinho would be awesome in this side. I really do. So I'm going to put Fernandinho in. I'm going to go with your nod. So the midfield, we've agreed begrudgingly, is going to be Fernandinho holding. Xavi on the right, it's got to be on the right, mate. And Iniesta on the left.
Right, onto the exciting part of the forwards. Bit of a bombshell to start it off. Messi, can't find room for him in my team. Sorry, no room for Lionel Messi. He'll be first sub. I have no doubt about it. He will be the first man to come off the bench at around 70, 75 minutes. But there's no room for him in my team. Ben, you having Messi in your team?
Well, I'm just thinking about it. You've mentioned Messi. I forgot about him until you just mentioned him. But we're talking about holding midfield. I think Messi, if he played holding midfield, now he obviously hasn't, but such a good passing range, such a clever. Do you think we should play him holding midfield? Could we be innovative here? Play him holding midfield. He could just spring passes along. Think of everything that Pirlo was, deep line playmaker. Just Messi's better. Do you know what I mean? We've got Messi playing holding midfield, and then we'll get all the rest of the forwards in elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good shout because then we can have De Bruyne as a false nine and everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You say that, you make a good point. We spoke about this before, like off air, jokingly, but being 100% serious. We jokingly said 100% serious. If he played holding midfield, he could literally be the best holding midfielder of all time in terms of possession-based team. Obviously, when they don't have the ball, it probably goes a bit missing. You imagine trying to press Messi from the back four with all the space there is in your own half. Obviously, he's getting the ball in tight situations. He's getting the ball with sort of 5 yards of space. You try pressing him, he just runs past you. I just don't see him ever losing the ball playing in that position. I can't see him ever. He doesn't lose the ball in tight areas. How would he lose the ball in front of the back four? I generally think he could play anywhere in that midfield and would still be the best player in the world. He's that good.
He's probably the best passer of all time. You're talking, right, so you're talking Gerrard, Scholes, Beckham, Pirlo. You're talking Xavi, Iniesta, and you're talking Messi's as good. The long-range pass he's got in his locker, like the curling pass to the fullbacks, he's got in his locker, intricate passes, keeping the ball. He's got everything. He could drive from midfield. He could score goals from midfield. Honestly, mate, I'm really thinking about him here, getting our midfield. No, but seriously, we're going to pick him, obviously, where he's playing under Pep, or we're certainly going to debate that out, right? Now, Pep Guardiola has been spoilt for midfielders and been spoilt for attacking options. So I'll just list through a few for you. So you've got Sergio Aguero, obviously only going to play down the middle. Eto played out wide a lot for him, albeit not his best time under Guardiola. Guardiola didn't rate him very highly. Henry, as we mentioned earlier, would probably be in for a real shout if we're picking them on their prime. But to reiterate, we're picking them based on Guardiola. Ibrahimovic, Lewandowski, again, probably not at his peak at that point under Guardiola. Mahrez, Messi, Thomas Muller, what a player. Robben, Raheem Sterling, David Villa, Ribery. But to start off for me, we've got a front three, right? There's two. Lionel Messi's in, right? Non-negotiable, he's in. We both know that. Now, with Messi, it comes down to a question of, are you going to play him down the middle or are you going to play him on the right? Now, there was a strong argument for me playing him on the right. He's played a lot of his career there. And I think that Dani Alves link-up, that really floated me, I think, towards playing him on the right. Having said that, Guardiola always used him down the middle. And Messi had his best ever individual seasons under Guardiola playing through the middle. And based on the fact that Dani Alves didn't make our side, is a double whammy for me. Messi plays down the middle, which means your Agueros, your Lewandowskis, they're unlucky. They're not getting in. But if Messi'd been on the right, for me, for that sort of golden period of Messi and Ronaldo, the consistently sort of third best player in the world for a good 3-year period was Arjen Robben. And if Messi played on the right, Arjen Robben would not have got in. And I'd love to get him in, albeit Messi Absolutely. Comes first. So for me, Messi goes down the middle. The side's built around him in the same way that Pep played him and utilised him as a false nine. He can drop into midfield, he can link play, he can score goals. He had his best return in terms of individual seasons under Pep. We got Robben on the right. who was for, like I said, 3 years probably the best player after Messi and Ronaldo in the world. And we got Ribery on the left. Again, probably if it wasn't for Messi and Ronaldo, probably would have won a Ballon d'Or. Terrific player. You've got the Robben and Ribery partnership on either side. Messi through the middle. I think that is a fantastic front three.
Absolutely, mate. Great show. I totally agree. Messi through the middle, Robben on the right hand side. Bayern Munich for that period under Pep. People, it's contrary. There's a big myth. There's an absolute myth in football that Pep failed at Bayern Munich, and that he bottled it and this, that, and the other, and that he could only do it. He could only win the Champions League with that Barcelona side. I'm told anyone could have won the Champions League with that team. That Bayern Munich side could have easily gone down as one of the best teams in history, and to me, they are still up there as one of the best teams. They lost in 3 consecutive Champions League semi-finals. All 3 of them, they were incredibly unlucky. Things didn't go their way, injuries, bits and pieces like that. I'm not going to go into it. They were incredibly unlucky. That team was unbelievable. Arjen Robben was their best player. Lewandowski played as a number 9 for 2 seasons under Pep. The first season, he had Mandzukic. The second 2, he played. You're right. He wasn't at his peak then. He really wasn't. Sergio Aguero, I'm a huge fan of. I'd like to get him in somewhere just because I liked him that much. But although I think his, the 2 seasons where Man City won back-to-back titles, Aguero was at his best. I think he was. He wasn't always first choice. He was often on the bench. He often played an hour and then come off. When he, there were periods of the season where he was literally second fiddle to Jesus. I can't play a player that was second fiddle. Although he was that good, I can't play it. So Messi through the middle. On the right-hand side, we've got Robben. On the left-hand side, late addition. Drum roll, Ben, late addition to the team. You don't know about this. You don't know. You ain't got a hunch about this. Despite what people think, Pedro was the understudy to Messi in that great Barcelona team. Samuel Eto'o for a season was obviously involved. David Villa, Alexis Sanchez, and Ibrahimovic all played under that 3-year period, and it wasn't any of them that was the second best under that period of time. Pedro was the understudy. He was the second best finisher. He would have been the second choice player. The levels, the second choice sort of number 9. I think the second choice in terms of if he couldn't have Messi, Pedro was the next on the list. Finishing was superb. The levels he played at, the goals he scored, he was an absolute colossus, really. And although his best seasons probably were under that period under Pep, I've gone for Pedro on the left-hand side because I generally think he was the next best attacker under Pep's Barcelona. And I've had to get him in because, to be honest, I didn't know who else. I didn't know what else to do. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know what else to do.
That is a fantastic shout, and I applaud that. I really do, because Pedro, I think, is underappreciated. And when he came to England, I really was very excited. I thought he was fantastic at Barcelona. And I echo your point. People forget how good Pedro actually is, or was, rather. Obviously still playing, is it Roma?
I think so.
He was a mainstay in that side. You look back sort of over a 5-year period, you'll see different names. Like you said, you'll see David Villa, you'll see Ibrahimovic, you'll see Eto'o, you'll see Henry. The 2 you'll always see is Messi and Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro's there or thereabouts. What I would say is he did play on the right more than he played on the left, but then he is very good with both feet, and I understand that he is equally as effective on the left. Definitely worth considering, and a great point. A player that was originally in mine, and you are well aware of this, originally in place of Frank Ribery on the left, I actually had Big Dave. I had David Villa. David Villa is someone
that what he was known as in Spain?
He is now. He is after I've made that statement. David Villa, for me, is seriously unlucky to miss out. David Villa was probably, along with Torres, they were both probably the best 2 strikers in the world for a good 18 months, 2 years, right? 2008 Euros, obviously before Pep. Valencia, he had a great career. He came to Barcelona. He won the Champions League in his first season, scored in the Champions League final against Man United. Off the back of winning the 2010 World Cup, finishing second top goal scorer at the tournament, scored 5 out of 8 goals for Spain in that tournament. He scored 32 goals in 76 games under Guardiola, and he played wide left for most of it. Now, I am the first to admit, and this is the reason that David Villa wasn't in my side. David Villa wasn't a left winger. He was a striker, but he could play left wing, and that was proven. And under Guardiola, the majority of his playing time did come on the left wing. And based on the impact he had for those 2 seasons under Guardiola, I do believe he would have been in and around World 11. He was that good for those 2 seasons. And based on the things that he won, individually and collectively with the team, national side and Spain, and the fact that he was such a big part of that, not to mention that he's Spain's all-time top goal scorer, not to mention he won 7 trophies with Barcelona in 2 seasons, he is in with a serious shout. And first off, he was in my side. The only reason I edged with Ribery was based on the Robben partnership, firstly, and based on the fact that Ribery played there for the entirety of his career. And Ribery, under Pep, with David Villa, for me, was a toss-up. In terms of under Pep, their performances, Ribery's been better over the course of his career. In terms of both at their peak, very even. Under Pep, very, very even. I just edge with Ribery because he played in that position and it's not a square peg in a round hole as much as it is with David Villa. But I'm sticking with Ribery. I'm just saying that with the Pedro shout, I'd have rather gone down the David Villa route.
Okay, it's a great point. I think I'm happy to go with Ribery because, it come down to me just for probably a 2-year period. I thought Pedro was sensational for that great Barcelona team. And like I said, I do think he was probably second fiddle. I think David Villa was probably third fiddle. I really do. I think it was, if it comes down to it, you're right, he played more off the right. David Villa, I think the difference is, the reason I'd be happy to have any of those 3, it really doesn't bother me, whoever we put in. Playing left wing for that Pep Guardiola team was like playing any other position. It wasn't a winger. Do you know what I mean? It was that when you've got 100% of the ball, you literally have 80% of the ball every week you play. You're making runs into the box all the time. It's almost like it's a wide striker, isn't it? It's not really a winger. You haven't got to track back. You haven't got to hug the byline and put crosses into the box. It's very much a fluid system. So I'd be happy to have him, but mate, I'm going to go. I'm going to let you have this one. Frank Ribery, unbelievable.
Frank Ribery is the natural to the position. I think you've made the right choice, and upon some consideration, I've made the right choice. That is absolutely the right front 3, and there's only one thing left to discuss. Who's the manager and who's the assistant? I think I'm the manager. No, seriously though, who's the captain? That's the actual shout. Who is the captain of this side? Are you sticking with Philipp Lahm? Because I'm saying it has to be Kompany.
If you say it has to be Kompany, he wasn't in your team.
He wasn't in my team, but if he's in the side, he's
they're making him captain. So what you said is, I'm picking a team. Let's be honest. You're picking a team. Mm-hmm. You said Kompany, you're not good enough. Sorry, you're not in my team.
Yeah.
You brought him in because I begged you to put Kompany in. You've brought him in and you've made him captain on his first day.
Listen,
what we've done.
If he's in the side,
do for the morale, the rest of the side. You imagine you're in that team. You imagine you're poor Philipp Lahm.
Yeah.
Right. I think, all right, arm wrestle between Kompany and Philipp Lahm.
Yeah, it just you made a great point in terms of coming back to you on that. Obviously, if it was a squad and you had all these players, you pick a guaranteed starter. Very much like, I'll give you a like-for-like example. Kane is captain for England. Kane is captain for England because at the 2018 World Cup, Henderson wasn't a guaranteed starter at that period of time. That is the only reason that he is captain. Henderson is more of a captain than Harry Kane. I think everybody's in unanimous agreement about that. Vincent Kompany is more of a captain than Philipp Lahm. If we had a squad, Lamb is more likely to play, more likely to be picked because he's in 100% of people's sides, not 50%, and he's fit all the time. So I do understand that justification.
Who's the better leader?
Kompany.
There's Kompany.
What I'm saying is, if he's in the side and this 11 plays every week, if he's guaranteed he's going to be fit, Kompany. If he is in the side, which we've agreed on between us, he is, Kompany is the captain.
Yeah, all right, I'll go along with that. I take your point. Despite the fact you didn't fancy him, despite the fact he wasn't even in your thinking, yeah, you're right. No, Kompany he is. No, you're right, absolutely. I think either of them, I think it is a toss-up, to be honest. Philipp Lahm, Kompany, probably, them two and Puyol, you're talking about leaders, three of the best leaders I've ever seen in my life, and they've all happened to play for Pep Guardiola's team. So on that basis, it's very you're spoiled for choice. But yeah, I think Company is the obvious choice.
And Neuer, captain of Champions League's winning side in goal last year. What a side we picked, mate. I'm unbelievably proud of that. You'll get that up on our Twitter handle. So just to reiterate, the selection that me and Harry have made collectively between the two of us: Manuel Neuer in goal, Philip Lahm at right back, Company right centre back, Boateng left centre back, Alaba left back, Fernandinho defensive midfield, Xavi right centre midfield, Iniesta left centre midfield, Iron Robin right wing, Messi false nine, and Ribery left wing.
Wow. What a side.
What a side.
On a cold, rainy night at Stoke?
Not so sure about that. Not so sure.
Never know.
Hey, cheers for listening, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Full On Football podcast. Please get in touch and let us know who would have made the cut in your Pep Guardiola 11. Cheers for joining me, mate. Take care. Mate.